He is the youngest teenage mentor in the history of North American knife making. He is a top-tier genius who is only 26 years old, but has 9 years of experience in teaching knife forging. He is even the legendary knife maker who, in just 3 hours, forged an exquisite, deep blue star river short blade with multi-layer Damascus steel using a Damascus canister family bucket. The teenage mentor Leo Harry, faced with such a formidable contestant, the production team of the show was naturally not lenient. They directly arranged 3 top-tier champions for him and required them to forge a distinctive short blade within 3 hours using Damascus canister family buckets as materials. Not only that, the iron canisters provided by the production team were only 2 inches in size. This meant that if they wanted to make a complete knife, they had to fuse multiple canisters to succeed. It had to be said that this round of the competition's difficulty was directly pushed to the limit. As the countdown began, the 4 contestants quickly took action. Contestant Pete planned to fuse and forge a knife using 4 iron canisters. He skillfully coated the inner walls of the iron canisters with an isolation fluid to speed up the process. He directly placed the canisters beside the forge, hoping to make the isolation fluid dry quickly. But unexpectedly, the isolation fluid had a very low ignition point and caught fire directly. However, Pete didn't intend to reapply the isolation fluid. He simply blew out the fire and started the canister filling process. Contestant Harry, on the other hand, chose to fuse 2 iron canisters. Instead of using an isolation fluid, he directly filled them with small steel balls and filled the gaps with high carbon steel powder. Then he used 1095 high carbon steel as a lid to seal the canisters. After that, he threw them directly into the forge for heating. Once the temperature reached the required level, he started using a stamping machine for forging and fusing. On the other side, contestant Kelly also didn't use an isolation fluid, but unlike Harry, she selected 5160 high carbon steel as the lid for sealing. Compared with the other 3 contestants, Kiryu didn't have such a smooth start. Before this, he had never forged a knife using Damascus canisters. He always relied on his pair of powerful arms for hand hammering, so being inexperienced, he could only follow the isolation fluid canister removal method from Nelson's teaching video for operation. 1 hour had passed. Pete had already fused all the iron canisters using the stamping machine. After a bit of polishing, he came to the canister removal stage. However, this process didn't go smoothly. One side of his steel billet simply couldn't be removed no matter what. It was at this point that Pete realized the consequence of burning the isolation fluid. At the same time, Kelly, who hadn't applied the isolation fluid, also started to remove the canisters. In comparison, her entire canister removal process was extremely smooth. With a set of unique techniques, she successfully retrieved the high-quality steel billet inside. Such a showy performance even made the judges couldn't help but applaud. But when it came to speed, Harry was the fastest. At this point, he had already completed the fusion of multiple canisters and started to stretch and lengthen the steel billet. There were no problems with the steel billet. However, on the other side, Kiryu was in despair. Although his steel billet had been initially fused, the blade was full of cracks. After trying his best to fix it without success, his emotions suddenly broke down, and he couldn't help but shout out loud. But after calming down, he still chose to start over. There was only 1 hour left. Kelly took the lead in conducting the heat treatment of the knife billet and completed the quenching. Pete followed closely and completed the quenching of his knife billet. Before quenching, Harry first